So how do we manage an ancient survival system in a modern world with modern stressors? And how can we limit the impact that modern stress can have on our health? The first thing I'd like to offer is that we look for ways to minimize or even ditch what I think of as optional stress. So, no doubt, we all face challenges. We all have different capacities to handle the stress that life hands us. And there are just some stressors we can't avoid, but there are some that we can, right? So, for example, have you ever checked your messages, checked your phone, even before you're upright in the morning? So, whether you're scrolling through the news, your to-do list, your text and email, even the weather, even TikTok, you're bringing in stimulation and information from the outside world that your brain now has to start processing and finding things to do with before you're even really awake. If you feel agitated and worked up before you've even had your morning coffee, you might take a look at that phone habit. And speaking of coffee, so the physiological effects of the stress response are mimicked by caffeine. And that's why we often consume it, right? In small doses, caffeine can make us feel energized and focused. And that's because it increases the circulation of cortisol and adrenaline in the body. It also increases dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone. So it feels good to have caffeine in certain amounts. But for most of us, there's a tipping point where we move from alert and focused and happy to agitated and stressed and unhappy. Now, I'm not going to tell you to ditch caffeine completely, but I invite you to notice how much and when you consume it, and whether caffeine is an optional stressor to your system. What does it feel like in your body? Does your heart start racing? Do your hands shake? Is your mind more than just awake? Does it tip over into agitated? Do you crash and need more caffeine just to get through the day? I know some people who boast that they can have a cup of coffee right before bed and sleep just fine. Maybe that's true. Research does show that you can develop a tolerance to the alerting effects of caffeine, but research also shows that you don't develop a tolerance to the anxiety-producing effects of caffeine. So consider whether caffeine through coffee, tea, soda, energy drinks, whatever, is actually an optional stress to your system and how you might dial that down. Another way to minimize stress that we experience is to pay close attention to our thoughts about the stress we experience. So the other morning, my morning didn't go as planned. I had a deadline and I had blocked off 4 hours to work on it, but things just kind of kept coming up to distract me and take me away from the thing that I really felt I needed to do. And the next thing I knew, it was lunchtime. So not only was I feeling the pinch of not having finished the thing that felt super, super urgent to me, but my brain starts telling me stories about just how bad this was going to be and who was to blame and how now I'll never get this project done on time. And then, by the way, why hasn't this completely unrelated thing been dealt with yet? So my brain started going. The stressful situation was still there, but I managed to make it so much worse by letting my brain spin. So I'm going to ask if that's happened to you. When have you added to your own stress by layering on thoughts such as, I will never have time to, or I'm the only one who, or if this doesn't happen, then XYZ, or it's always like this, or it's not supposed to be this way. The next time you catch your inner storyteller turning your stress into a catastrophe, see if you can notice it. Take a pause and ask, what's going on here? Are these thoughts and stories helpful? Are they even true? And if the answer is no, you can say to yourself, this isn't helpful. And then you can start to ask yourself what other story you could tell instead. This is a practice. You just have to kind of do it again and again until you start to notice when it happens and you start to interrupt that storyline. I also wanted to give you a few tools to help you deal with the effects of your body's stress response. And I'll start with a few sort of in the moment tools. And of course, the first one that I think of has to do with breathing. Breathing is a great way to come back into the present moment, to calm your nervous system, to take everything down a notch. The first breathing exercise is called box breathing. And it's real simple. If you imagine a box, you're inhaling, holding, exhaling, and holding. You do it for the same roughly period of like a count. So you're going to inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And you do that a few times and you feel that box pattern. The next one, if that doesn't work, sometimes holding the breath in, the inhalation or the exhalation is a little stressful. try to do an inhalation followed by an extended exhalation. So for example, if you inhale for 4, exhale for a count of 6 or even 8. So it looks like this. Inhale, exhale. Do that a few times and you do it slowly, and you can feel again your heart rate come down, your nervous system start to relax. And then the third breathing exercise that I've recently learned, and I'm kind of excited about it because it brings a couple of things together, is called palm breathing. So you'll take your hand and you'll look at your palm, and you start with your opposite hand's pointer finger. And on inhalation, you'll trace the outside of your pinky. Exhalation, come down the inside. Inhale up to the top of your ring finger. Exhale down. So you watch your hand while you're inhaling and exhaling as you trace the fingers and then the thumb of your hand. And what's nice about this as you inhale and exhale is that it brings together a few things. You've got the slowness of your breath. You've got the attention that's now focused on your hand, bringing your attention away from the thing that's stressing you. And you're feeling the sensation of your skin on your finger and on your hand. I really like that one. I'm going to be doing that one a lot more often. And it ties to the other in the moment practice that I want to offer. It's really helpful to bring your awareness to your body and to your senses. So this kind of brought your awareness to your body. Another common practice is to look at things with all 5 of your senses, or to experience things with all 5 of your senses. So when you're in that stressful situation, look for one thing that you can see. I'm looking at the flowers behind my computer. One thing that you can hear. One thing that you can smell in the room. One thing that you might be able to taste. And one thing that you can touch. What it's doing is bringing you into the moment, your immediate experience, and taking you out of that fight or flight. Now, you won't be surprised if I tell you that in terms of long-term stress adaptation strategies, it has to do with tending to the vessel that holds your stress, your body and your mind. What will help is your lifestyle, a nutrient-rich diet, lots of sleep, good hydration, regular exercise. All of these will actually make you more resilient to the stress that comes your way. But that's a topic for another talk. But I will say that if you need support with lifestyle change to make your body and mind more resilient to stress, that's exactly what a health coach helps with. More on that in another video. In the meantime, I wish you ease and well-being. I suggest that you practice those in the moment tools, the breath and tactile and sensory tools, and look for areas in your life where optional stress may be adding fuel to the stress fire. So take good care, and I'll see you soon.